it is, I'm going to use the word fitting, which is a little
Hey,
ironic,
yes.
or as they like to say, ironical in a couple of minutes here, because look, it is the summertime, and since June, whatever it was, when golf courses were able to be open, I've been sort of impressed with the golf community on how they've been able to, without too many hiccups, really, kind of not only move at the local golf club level, at your municipal level, but then you see what the PGA has done, and it really is pretty impressive, I think, within the community, considering golf is you're naked out there, right? I mean, for the most part, you're out there. It is a social event for most people, aside from the pros. It's what you do on Saturday and Sunday mornings and sometimes it's just the same group of guys. When the pandemic comes in, there was a potential of a huge disruption into something that I think culturally is very important. And so the thought of maybe not coming out, which is the wrong word. The word I would use is initiating perhaps a new product and a new way of doing it during this time might have its challenges. But I believe by the end of this interview, you're going to realize, and we've spoken about this before on the show, how, because the mother invention is really the seed of what we're talking about, because of the pandemic, finding new and maybe better ways because of the pandemic, and maybe, just maybe, you will change the way in which you buy golf equipment. And to tell more is our good friend Cameron Jacobs. Good morning, Cam. How you doing, buddy?
Great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
This is really interesting, first of all, because the last time we saw you, you were fitting us with TaylorMade golf clubs,
Yep.
which obviously are brilliant clubs. I just think the clubs are saying to themselves, I thought we'd be used more. And we haven't got to do it. But of course, there is nothing like, and I'd say to anybody, is there a difference? What, between just buying something literally off the rack at a store, or as you said, a pro shop, as opposed to having fitted clubs? It's a world of difference. But in this, what we're calling the Honma mobile experience, why don't you explain, first of all, who Honma is for those who aren't familiar with the brand?
Well, thanks. And we always sort of joke about fitting. A good buddy of mine, Stu Banton, always said, ask a guy what size shoe does he wear, and then imagine wearing a different size shoe. You wouldn't even be able to walk around. Golf equipment a little bit like that. You can kind of buy it off the rack, but it works so much better when you have it tailored to your needs. Everyone plays differently. Everyone's a different size. Everyone swings differently. Everyone hits it on a different part of the face, different directions, given by Dave's game. But truthfully, it's a joy when you see a player experience a club that works for them perfectly. And obviously that's what we're looking to deliver to the marketplace here in Toronto and across the country. But Honma itself it's a really cool company. It's a really cool brand and a neat story. It's two brothers back in Sakata, Japan, 1959 formed the company. And we're talking back in the day, would have been very high-end persimmon woods, forged irons, muscleback blades, and obviously as technology has grown over the years, they were able to expand that. And what makes Honma a little bit unique is it's a vertically integrated company. So we make our own shafts. We're one of the only manufacturers in the world that would make the club end-to-end, you'd call it. Mm-hmm. Not only are we taking care of the technology that goes into the head of the club, but also we make all of our own graphite shafts right in Sakata. And obviously Japanese-made products are amongst the highest tolerance for quality, consistency, and considering we can control that internally, it just gives us that little edge when we're tailoring products to all levels of player, from the tour on down to the player that's going to go out and shoot 100 on the weekend and work to break that 100 barrier. So it's really fun to watch. We make some ultra premium products called Berets, which come in a number of different star ratings, are very popular over in Asia and throughout North America. Now we're seeing things along the lines of gold embellishments and platinum included into the golf club. So it's literally playing golf with jewelry, and there's just truly exquisite products to experience hitting. And our Tour World product line, which is really, as it mentions, it's intended for, the performance player that's looking for the very best materials, tour grade shaping for, that advanced player that's looking for a little bit more. We can take that technology and boil it down to something like our XP1 range, which is really designed for the North American market, and those golfers that may or may not miss it out to the right, may or may not need a little bit of help in speed and getting the golf ball up in the air. So across the board, we've got all categories covered. And really, I think the thing that separates Honma is some of the artistry that comes out along with the quality control that we can manifest internally. I've got like a little wedge here. This is our, that's a wedge wizard design. You can see here, it's all stamped, marked up. We have capacities internally down in Carlsbad, California, our North American offices where, we can really make almost anything happen. It's a lot of fun.
So how do you link up with the company, considering that you were pretty happy with a pretty significant golf company and they went looking for the best? And I would, I know we're buddies in that, but in the golf industry here in Ontario, Southern Ontario, you're kind of the master fitter, 20-year PGA professional. So you have a pretty great resume behind you, Cam. How did the two of you link up, considering we're in the middle of the worst pandemic in the history of the world right now, or at least our lifetime, and you're changing jobs here. So it's pretty significant in your world as well.
Thanks. Well, you know what? The industry is very small. So once you're in it, you're in the thick of it. And you're right. There's not a lot of different options out there. But you know what? There are some really cool people inside down at our offices in Carlsbad, California. John Kawaj is a Canadian who has a lengthy tenure in the industry. My friend Laird White, who runs the Golf Performance Project out in Victoria, BC. It was the director of instruction at the National for a number of years and has held a number of great posts.
You're saying Kawaja works with you? John Kawaja does?
It was on the ground floor, has moved on to new roles since. But, obviously there's a lot of really good people down there. Martin Chuck, another Canadian, is on staff that's down in Arizona. There's a lot of really cool things pointing towards what we were building with Honma. And also, I alluded to the point that it's a 60-year-old brand, but in North America, it's still quite small. We're a small, nimble team. And, we feel that that's the way that business will go down the road. It's keeping things light. It's not from a commercial perspective, saddling our retail partners with, a ton of inventory. It's all about bringing a product to that one specific player that's best for them, not, kind of here's a rack of clubs and go pick one. So I saw that, and down the road, I can see that becoming more and more the model. We're seeing other brands sort of adopt that, the prevalence of even purchasing golf equipment online. Golf is a very tactile sport. So to be able to engage players in a new and different way, I just looked at the brand, and I can even remember a few years back when, Mark King, who was formerly a CEO of another brand, took the reins at Honma. I said, you watch these guys, they're about to go. And sure enough, we're starting to see it now. We've got some great people down there on the design team, and it's a really neat thing to watch the teams in Carlsbad interact with our headquarters back in Sakata, Japan. We have sort of two design groups that make the equipment, and we make equipment that's designed specifically for the Asian markets, a little bit of a different spec. And obviously layer that in with what we build for the North American market, and between the two, you've just got something that you really can't put your finger on as that one thing. There's a lot of things, and that's what really makes it a cool company. And given the fact that it's in a pandemic, it shows strength from our ownership, that they believe in us, they believe in the product, and they believe in the sport more than anything. I've seen it on the ground floor. Obviously, I've been in golf for a long time, starting to get some gray hairs, but our sport is something else, and it is so resilient. We went from, call it, very early in March, seeing the fear of what this might bring, and there are some very real consequences. Courses that had, think of the wedding business or especially corporate event and charity events. And there's a lot of charities that are really suffering right now as a result of the pandemic. There's a lot of those properties have had to shift their playbook for the season to be able to, to keep, existing and operating in a commercially viable way. And what we're seeing with all these people working from home is that people are finding time to go and play some golf, and finding time to go and connect with their friends and their loved ones. It's a safe place. You can get outdoors. It's good. It's good exercise. I don't know about you guys, probably everybody's got up with the pandemic 15, kind of around the middle. We're working off over the summer. but it's just great to see that, you know, the industry has done such a great job of caring for the golfer when they show up at the property, and the golfers are responding well to the instructions of, yeah, you know, hey, we're gonna have a mask on when we go into the pro shop or into the clubhouse. You know, we're gonna do our part in the parking lot to not, you know, have too many people present in one spot. And it is a sport where you can play safely, and it's a social game. So I think, you know, in addition to being good physically for your physical well-being, it's great for your mental well-being. I mean,
Well,
even today, you know, I've got some sales calls I'll make today, and then I'm going to catch up with an old college buddy. We haven't played golf in 5 years. You know, kids, work, we lose touch with people, and it's great to be able to just go and share, you know, 4 hours outside in nature, and hopefully you don't lose too many golf balls.
Well, it seems like, at least from my perspective, and certainly after talking with you here this morning, that the word I would use, I guess, most in sort of its, at least philosophically, what Honma seems to have done, I guess the word I use is flexibility. It seems like input and the ability to work with others, work around schedules, work around people's preferences, it really seems integral to sort of what you do. And I guess something that would verify that is that connection and that contract with Justin Rose. When I'm looking at what now, does that still exist? Because I know initially he had a lot of input on, you know, some of the irons that he was working with. Now, again, contracts change. I don't know if that has changed since that time, but his interest seems to have been, at least initially, was that the company was really willing to work with him on what he wanted in a golf club.
As we do with all of our players, you know, we're blessed with a wealth of players over on the Japanese tour and on the LPGA tour. But you know, and Justin, you know, I've known and watched his career arc over the last 20 years. It's hard to believe now. We've all been going at it for a little while. And Justin, obviously, you know, the learnings we've had from our time with Justin, you know, will last the Honma brand for years to come. The insights that we're able to glean from him, you know, and at this time, you know, he's found his own way. He's playing contract free, which is something that we'll see a little bit more on the PGA Tour. You see a lot of players have kind of gone that route, which gives them a lot of flexibility. And even in the original contract we had with Justin, he wasn't required to play a full set of clubs, but he actually did. You know, he won at Torrey Pines the second week out with you know, Honma driver, full set of irons in the bag, and a pretty authoritative win. But obviously injuries, you know, family, you know, lots of things going on in his world, coaching changes, and then you throw a pandemic on top of that. He's in a different spot, but you know, again, we're cheering for him from the crowd, and we've got some great stories going on tour right now. There's a lot of players that, you know, you wouldn't see with our hat on that necessarily actually have our clubs in their bag, which we're not unfortunate to talk about due to their contracts with the other companies. So, but Laird obviously has been out on tours. He's not been out lately, but you know, we've got close contact with a number of players that we're working with. And really, you know, if you look at the tour right now, you know, at least from a Canadian perspective, have we ever been so lucky? We have 4 players inside the top 100.
Outstanding.
So
Outstanding.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know, you got Nick Taylor, who's a friend of mine and just playing great, Hadwin. And then you look at, you know, a guy like, you know, Corey Connors, right? Mackenzie Hughes, these guys could win any single week on tour, and they're all playing this week. You got Mike Weir who looks like Mike Weir looks literally like a prize fighter right now. I'm not sure if you've seen him go on his Instagram.
Okay, that's very weird. That I have to see then.
He's I mean, he flyweight, but he's
really
he's fit and has been working on his game like crazy. And I have a feeling that guy is going to be like a human ATM on the Champions Tour. He's just turned 50, and he's playing his first event in the Champions Tour this week. So pretty cool to see what's going on there. And obviously, you know, with Elena and Brooke on the LPGA Tour, they're starting off again soon. So, you know, if we look at kind of what's going on tour, especially here in Canada, it's awesome. We've got a lot of, and I can tell you this, having worked, you know, the Mackenzie Tour, the Canadian Tour, having kept an eye on CJGA and college players over the last 10 years, I can tell you this, there's more coming. There's a lot more coming. And Golf Canada and the development programs we've seen across the country, Golf Ontario alone, staggering. So you just, you know, as Canadians, you guys should be, you know, we're all really proud because there's a lot more to come. It's a good time in golf.
Cam, we have 30 seconds here. If anybody wants to be fitted and have the mobile experience and listening to this, obviously they should be very impressed. How do they get a hold of you? and how do they make this booking?
Really, really easy. You can catch us online at us.honmagolf.com or just hit us up on social. We're on all channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Honma Golf CA.
When the and Dave asked this earlier on, I'll ask for him because he's embarrassed. When you go to the various mobile fittings, can you keep the Mercedes-Benz van? Is that wrong?
Small surcharge. We'll just tuck that in on the bill. Byline, 60 grand. No problem.
That's very fair.
You got a diesel gas those. Just don't remember.
That's tough. Maybe not so much then. That's a line I just will not cross. Cam, thanks so much, buddy. Good to see you. Nice to see you doing well. I'm sure we'll stay in touch and watch the brand because I think it's very exciting. And look, golf equipment, especially something that for here in North America specifically seems new. You know what guys are like with golf equipment, and this is going to be like a new thing. They're going to see the success that it has, and it's going to take off. And I said the mobile idea just is fitting, not only just because of what we've had to do because of COVID-19, but as you said, the way in which you want to. You said it is tactile. I need to feel that club. I need to feel the weight. I need to feel everything from it to see whether I like it or not. So this is very exciting. So I appreciate the time here this morning, and I'm sure we'll catch up again.
Thanks, guys.